Listen up, this is the story of Asante Samuel Jr., a young cornerback who arrived in the NFL with pedigree, promise, and a chip on his shoulder. It's a story of talent, turbulence, recovery, and now opportunity. Pittsburgh just added him to the practice squad, and that move matters. It signals urgency from a team nursing injuries in the secondary and a player determined to re-establish himself at the highest level. Born October 3, 1999, Samuel carries a last name that belongs in NFL history. But his own path is not a relic. It's modern, fast, and tested by setbacks. He was a second-round pick in 2021, selected 47th overall, and he spent his first seasons in the league starting and learning against the best wide receivers in football. Those early flashes, interception returns, tight coverage, instincts showed why scouts loved his ball skills and competitive edge. Then the hits came, not just blocks from receivers, but medical setbacks that interrupted the rhythm every young corner needs. The 2024 season was abbreviated. Injuries limited his snaps and forced a long, careful recovery. This year, Samuel's name came up in free agency circuits, workouts, teams showing interest, and a search for a new home where he could get back to doing what he does best: lock down sideline routes and make quarterbacks pay for throwing his way. ESPN reported he was cleared to play, and then Pittsburgh signed him to their practice squad. That clearance is the crucial hinge. It turns speculation into possibility. So what does Samuel bring to the Steelers right now? First, versatility. He's played both outside and in nickel packages. He's comfortable in press coverage and in off-man scenarios. He's got polished feet, explosive hip turns, and the instincts to anticipate routes, traits that translate quickly when coaching staffs hand out reps. Second, experience. He started multiple NFL seasons and faced top-tier opponents. That experience shortens the learning curve for any new scheme. Third, ball production. Across his Chargers tenure, he's produced pass breakups and interceptions at moments that changed games. Numbers tell part of the story: tackles, pass deflections, and the takeaway ability that every defense covets. But this isn't a fairy tale. Pittsburgh signed him to the practice squad, not the active roster, and that distinction matters. The practice squad is both a platform and a proving ground. It gives Samuel time to reacclimate, to absorb Steelers' techniques and communication, and to rebuild conditioning without the full-throttle pressure of Sunday games. For the Steelers, it's a low-risk, high-upside maneuver. Add veteran depth, see how he meshes, and if injuries or matchups demand it, elevate him quickly. TribLive and AP confirmed the move, and the timing is bluntly practical. The team needed bodies in the secondary as Week 11 approaches. Imagine the locker room logic. The defense is short-handed, starters are dinged up, coaches want a veteran voice on the practice field who has lived through NFL route concepts and coverage adjustments. Samuel's presence alone tightens how the first-team offense and second-team defense prepare each week. He'll be the foil quarterbacks see in practice, the veteran who can mimic receivers' tendencies, and the player who pushes young corners to be cleaner. That's immediate value, even before a single snap on Sunday. Now let's talk upside. If Samuel returns to the form he flashed earlier in his career, he's not just depth, he's a potential difference maker. He can contest jump balls, he can read quarterbacks on short windows, and he can flip field position by forcing punts or creating turnovers. For a Steelers defense that prizes physicality and turnover hunting, Samuel's best-case profile fits like a glove. Aggressive press, crisp tackling at the catch point, and an elite competitive temperament. The building blocks are there. Realistically, the path from practice squad to starter is short but steep. The Steelers will monitor practice performance, special teams readiness, and how quickly he assimilates the playbook. If a starter misses time, which has been Pittsburgh's reality this season, Samuel could be elevated for matchups where his strengths are most useful. Contested catch scenarios, slot-heavy packages, or teams that favor route concepts he has historically handled well. Coaches love matchups. Samuel provides them another chess piece. Let's zoom in on technique, the stuff you want in a voiceover breakdown. Samuel's hips are his engine. They allow rapid transition from backpedal to sprint, and that burst is how he stays attached to receivers on the outside. His hand usage at the line is functional, not flashy, but effective. Subtle resets, quick reroutes, and an eye for the quarterback's shoulder. He's not the biggest corner, so he relies on leverage and timing. When timed right, those traits produce pass deflections and open lanes to chase interceptions. That's the tape scouts highlight. There's also the mental game. Recovering from injury isn't just physical healing, it's reprogramming confidence. Samuel had to prove to teams and to himself that his body would hold up under contact and under the grind of an NFL season. Clearance to play, publicized by multiple outlets, gives him psychological breathing room. It's a reset button, and veterans know how to press it. Focus on fundamentals, win small battles in practice, and let the tape do the convincing. Pittsburgh will watch those practice snaps like a hawk. Special teams matter too. For a practice squad signee, playing on kick and punt coverage is often the ticket to the 53-man roster. Samuel has the athletic profile to contribute there, and if he wants to stick long-term, he'll embrace those reps. Coaches reward players who make themselves indispensable in multiple phases of the game. In short, expect him to grind on special teams because that's often how comebacks are written. We should address risk candidly. Recent medical history introduces uncertainty. Durability questions linger. Opposing teams and fantasy managers will note the rehabled seasons and limited snaps. Performance after major procedures can be uneven early. The Steelers are pragmatic. They didn't commit a roster spot immediately, and that cautious approach is sensible. This signing is a balance, potential upside versus medical caution. The team hedged, and Samuel accepted the path that gives him a runway. Now picture the short-term timeline. Week after week, he'll run drills, learn the verbiage, and participate in team walkthroughs. Coaches will test him in controlled environments, then increase reps if he shows reliability. If a starter goes down, he'll be on the list of candidates for elevation. If he seizes that opportunity with clean technique and an ability to limit yards after catch, he can transform from a practice squad depth piece into a legitimate rotational option, and that's how careers resurge in this league. There's also a narrative angle worth noting. Samuel's father was a Pro Bowl cornerback, and that lineage brings both expectation and mentorship. Asante Jr. is his own player, but lineage matters in the NFL. It often instills a professional approach from a young age. Combine that upbringing with his natural instincts, and you get a player who's wired to compete. For Steelers fans who love blue-collar stories of comeback and grit, this narrative rings true. For Asante Samuel Jr., the next couple of weeks are simple and brutal at the same time. Show consistency, avoid mistakes, and make a splash when the window's open. NFL stories are full of players who took the practice squad route and then carved out pivotal roles. Samuel's talent and prior production say he's got that ceiling. His medical history says patience and smart usage will be required. The intersection of those realities will determine whether he's a short-term fix or a long-term reclamation. Finally, let's land this with clarity. Pittsburgh signing Asante Samuel Jr. to the practice squad is a pragmatic, meaningful move. For the Steelers, it's roster insurance and an injection of experience. For Samuel, it's a second chance, a platform to prove his body and his game. If he reclaims the form that made him a second-round pick, he can be a difference maker in pivotal moments. If he approaches this with the professionalism his pedigree suggests, the payoff could be big for him and for a Steelers defense that needs playmakers. That's the play-by-play of the situation: background, medical context, role, upside, and the realistic path forward. Keep watching the practice reports, watch the special teams snaps, watch the matchups. Because in the NFL, careers don't restart overnight, they restart in practice fields, in meetings, and in the small decisions that add up on Sundays.